today. Good. Thank you for calling me Winner Cincy. Okay, so today's show is dedicated to grief. I wrote a book about grief. It's called Love Letter to Grief. You can find the book on Amazon. If you click on my bio, there is a YouTube link in my bio. If you click on it, you can find my book trailer as well as all of the shows that we do each Sunday. We upload to YouTube. You can always find the shows there. So if you miss a show or if you want to catch an old show, maybe you heard something that you want to hear again, or maybe you heard something that you want to pass on to someone else that's going through grief. So if you're just coming in, I will say again, the show is called Love Letters to Grief, and it is a show where I have someone come on each Sunday at 11. They share their love letter to someone they've lost, and we just talk about their journey with grief. So I'm going to bring in Emoji J to show you guys the book trailer, and then we'll get started. On May 6, 2017, I lost my husband. That sounds so innocuous, doesn't it? I lost my husband. As if somehow I misplaced him. As if I set him down somewhere and forgot to pick him back up. As if I let him out of my sight and forgot the last place I saw him. The truth is, I didn't lose my husband. He died. People always say to me, I don't know how you do this. They don't know just how close you and I have grown. Faith, you are how I push through. Faith, you are how I am okay. Faith, you are the reason I did not give up. Without you, I would have allowed myself to fall short of God's glory. Without you, I would not have trusted God, and what a scary, lonely place that would be. Faith, you are the substance of things hoped for, and the evidence of things not seen. But you are also the source of power and strength that I never knew I needed so much. My faith in God, His promises, His word, are the answers to how I survived this chapter of my life. Without my faith in God, the story would have ended far worse. The pages of my life would have read quite differently. But with my faith, I will continue to push through, because although the grief journey is tough, I also know I will never walk it alone. This is my love letter to you, about my feelings for you, a letter to not giving up, not giving in, and learning to walk by faith every step of the way. May the lessons I've learned, the stories I've shared, and the letters I've written be an inspiration to that broken heart I experienced the day I lost my husband. May my heartbreak be a source of light to help another broken heart find its way out of the darkness that grief creates. Thank you so much, Emoji J. So again, guys, as I was saying, my YouTube link is in my bio. You can find that book trailer and all of the shows that we do every Sunday on YouTube. And also, my Instagram bio link is on my bio as well. That's where you can find my Amazon link and all of my other links as well. So to give you the direct link to my Amazon page, or you can direct message me on IG to get more information about the book. So today's guest we have is Cece. I typically read a little insert from my book before we get started, but today I'm just going to go ahead and get started. We're going to go straight into Cece. We're going to listen to her letter, and then we're just going to talk with her about her grief journey. So if you're just coming in, welcome to Love Letters to Grief.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning, Cece. You look nice.
Thank you.
Alrighty, so just whenever you're ready, you can get started. And if you have to pause, take your time. We're here to listen to your story and listen to your letter.
Okay. Dear child, never in a million years would I think I would have you so early in my life. I had absolutely no coping skills to even know how to deal with or even know what to do. But I guess that's just life. No one truly knows. I had faith, which I totally lost after what you put me through. For one, who puts a child in someone's life and just takes it away instantly? So, yes, my faith was gone. For a moment, though. things were amazing. I was engaged to what I thought was a great man. I had a job, and then I found out about you, my child, my little angel. You just making it all complete. Then things took a turn for the worst, and when I say the worst, I mean it. I found out I was pregnant the same week your dad went on binge drinking and started becoming such a not so positive fiance. Same week, I would have surprised him about you, our little bundle of joy. That next week, I was stressed and upset and started cramping bad, and all I could think about was holding my little one in my arms. I thought cramping was normal because I was not really experiencing the pregnancy symptoms or even knowing everything. But the next night is when I got really concerned. I started feeling a little weird sensation in my stomach, and I waited till the morning and scheduled an appointment, same day, and went to then found out I had miscarried. I fell out of my chair and cried at that moment. I went fully numb. That word is not an easy word to hear. That is when my whole world went tumbling down. I cried and cried. I got no support because my fiance, your dad, had left us. I was even more so alone. You would have been 3 now, going on 4. I hate this feeling, and I never really shook it off. I would have had a mini me boy or girl. I would have been happy. Took me 3 years to fully process it. I never told anyone because I didn't want to keep reliving the nightmare I went through. I dealt with this aching pain of losing you, my child. I still think and consider why it happened, but miscarriage is never an easy topic to talk about, so I kept quiet. I kept you quiet, and I kept my life quiet. I wish you were here, and I wish things happened differently. Now I know you are looking at me from heaven watching. Thank you for giving me a chance of motherhood, and I will never forget you. I love you, my child, my sunshine, my love.
Oh, wow. Well, I did not know who your letter was to. Um, but I think that is very powerful because that's one of the griefs that I don't think enough people talk about is miscarriage because a lot of people don't look at it the same. But I think your letter was very powerful because it is absolutely the same exact loss of anyone else. So do you talk about that often with anybody else?
Um, I talked with my cousin a while back about it, but it was like brief.
Hmm.
I do talk with my therapist about it. Um, so it was a long journey because I didn't really think it was something, but I started feeling weird about, you know, just even talking about it and like, well, a lot of people go through it, but nobody really like goes through it and goes through the whole process of the whole grieving journey.
Hmm.
And that was something that weighed heavy on my heart because I've wanted children. I've
Hmm.
wanted to have a child in my life. And to me it just wasn't sitting right. So
Yeah. What do you think was the hardest thing for you? Um, and I guess kind of walk me through like because through the actual when you went to the doctor and how they explained it to you. Do you think they did a good job helping you understand what happened?
um yeah, I told them what was going on. I went to the same people who told me that I was pregnant,
Okay.
and I was only pregnant for like a month.
Hmm.
And then I went back and told them what I was experiencing, like all the symptoms and everything. And then they ran tests and did what they did. And then they came in. They paused for a little bit, which I was kind of like, I was like, something's not right. And then they just kind of just said it. I mean, I don't know if it's an easy way to say this, like for them. So I don't know what would have been right to say or how differently it should have been said because it's still hard, like some people try years and it doesn't work, so it's not easy. And I guess when they told me, I lost like my breath after that. Like I really did because I was like ready for it. So
Hmm. And you said so it was almost 4 years ago.
yeah, it was the beginning of 2017.
Hmm. Wow. Yeah. So how soon after you miscarried did you start going to counseling or seeing a therapist about it?
Not even. I want to say I just started like last year, like
Okay.
actually processing everything because during that whole time, my depression was very high. I mean, it is still high,
Hmm.
but I learned how to deal with it and cope with it. But I didn't start, I didn't even know I needed, that was something that had to be talked about until I unraveled everything.
Okay. So guys, if you're just walking in, this is Love Letter to Grief. We're talking to Cece, and she's giving us she just read her love letter to grief, and it was to her unborn child. She had a miscarriage about 4 years ago. So we're just kind of walking through that and kind of learning more about her grief journey. So you said that you were engaged and then that relationship didn't work out. So I'm sure you kind of battle with grieving two things at the same time, like that relationship and the your child as well. So do you feel like that complicated things for you more?
It did. It definitely did because,
Mhm.
and it's like, I didn't get a chance to tell him. And then even if I did tell him, I would have been left basically. And I was just alone, all the way alone. Moved to Texas alone. You know, we came here to start our own life and you left. So it was definitely hard because then at that moment, I didn't want to tell anybody. I felt like, dang, like why did I have to lose both at the same time?
Yeah, I definitely feel like sometimes when you're going through grief, and I do want to tell you guys, if I don't speak to you, it's only because we're in the middle of a show. But I thank you guys for coming in. But I do feel like with grief, sometimes when you're trying to process things, anything that you have to add to that, it just makes it that much harder. But I often sometimes feel like maybe it's a distraction for us. Like maybe those other things are kind of brought in as a distraction to help us process it. So do you feel like there was anything that helped you cope with it in the beginning?
um I know that I talked to my little cousin a lot. I always kept in touch with that part of the family, and I think just talking every day and
Mm-hmm.
having my friend and also working because work really like I was working at that time, so constantly working was my thing, and it helped me like kind of forget
Hmm.
and try to just like push it behind me faster.
Right. Yeah. Um, I know. So, and I like to ask people this when they come on. Do you feel like your faith was strengthened or weakened with with the loss of your unborn child?
It was definitely weakened
Hmm.
because I wasn't, I guess at that point I wasn't too strong enough in my faith,
Hmm.
so I just blamed everything on God, like because I feel like God knew that I wanted to be a mother. God knew this.
Hmm.
Why are we going through this?
Hmm.
And now now going through it and discussing it and talking, it has definitely gotten better and strengthened. So
Hmm. Yeah. Um, whether and so I know that you say you were staying in Texas by yourself. So did you let your family know what you were going through? Did you reach out to your friends who didn't stay in Texas and tell them?
no, I didn't let anybody like know. Um, I was already kind of just embarrassed with the whole relationship in total.
Hmm.
So then saying this and then he left and all that, it just made everything worse for like just to deal with, and I didn't want, my family talking to me every like about that situation when I was already trying to push that behind me and
Right.
just keep on.
Yeah. Guys, if you're just coming in, this is Love Letter to Grief. We have Cece in the box who just shared her love letter to grief. Her letter that she wrote was to her unborn child from a miscarriage that she had 4 years ago. So, Cece, looking back at it now, do you feel like you're ready to maybe go through that journey again? Do you feel like it's made your desire to be a mother stronger, or how has it impacted it?
I've definitely wanted to try to be a mother.
Mhm.
It makes me want to try again,
Mhm.
but it's the fear of maybe thinking that I can't get pregnant anymore
Mhm.
because of that whole situation. Um, because I have tried multiple times, and it just like doesn't happen. So it's just like that kind of just like I want to be a mother, but the whole thought of losing another child, it does hurt.
Yeah. And is there anything, I mean, and I think that's one of the things, like, I know there's a lot of women who deal with infertility. There's women who deal with, um, losing a child in the early phases of a pregnancy, sometimes even before they're able to detect a heartbeat. There's a lot of women who just naturally, their bodies just reject a pregnancy. And
Mhm.
so, and I use the word reject because I had a miscarriage too. And once the first time I talked about it, I had all of these people that I went to school with who were like reaching out to me, like, "Oh my God, me too." And it was like so crazy because when I talked about it, there were literally probably 10 people that I knew who reached out to me who had all suffered a miscarriage within the same year. And I was like, man, like, at the time I felt so by myself, but it was one of those things I just don't think we talk about it enough.
Mhm.
So I'm happy that you say it because it's like I say, it's one of those things that happens to so many women, but it's just people don't talk about it because some people don't actually look at it as if they lost a child. But when it's a pregnancy that you want,
Mhm.
you feel it's the same. It's the same to it feels like a loss of a child. Now, it's hard to compare that to someone who physically births a child and loses a child. So
Mhm.
it's like one of those things. It's like, you're in the same like circle of people, but it's still a loss.
Mhm.
So do you feel like you wish you'd heard more about other people losing babies before you so you could understand it better? Had you experienced anybody close to you having a miscarriage?
I haven't experienced anybody close to
Mhm.
me losing a child. Um,
Somebody asked a question. So she was a little less than a month when she had the miscarriage. Or ask how far along you are.
yeah. Um, but I don't think I would have wanted to know because then it would have made me worried. But I also know that things happen for a reason too.
Mhm.
So
Right.
it's just, my time will come.
Yeah. And that's the same thing with me. And I never want to put words in somebody else's mouth because me, I always try to find the silver lining. So when I had a miscarriage, to me, I just could told myself that's God's natural way of, like if there's something wrong with the pregnancy. To me, I was just like, the miscarriages is just God's natural selection of saying this is not going to be a healthy pregnancy or it's not going to be a healthy baby. And it's
Mhm.
just naturally your body just rejects it. And so that was the way I kind of reasoned it to myself. Like it happened because it was going to be so much worse if I actually had the baby. But I don't know. It still was super hard. Like I say, when I went to the doctor, I remember I remember what they said to me was there's not a heartbeat. And it was just you sit there like, wait, what? Like it was just like the way. I mean, and I feel like they didn't say it in a rude way, but it was just such a alarming way. It's like
Yeah.
it's no. So it was very hard for me to hear it. And so, but again, I just wish that more people talked about it so I didn't feel so alone because it's not something that you're isolated. It's so many other people that are experiencing the same thing.
Yeah. I mean, I don't just for that talking about it, like I said, like I didn't want to keep reliving it.
Mhm.
And it was just I did forget a lot about it.
Yeah.
And, you know, talking with my therapist kind of like relived everything.
Right. So,
So
what are some of the things that you feel like your therapist has given you that has helped you better process it? Like what tools?
explaining my feelings for one, because when it comes to recognizing how you feel and your different emotions,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that is something very important, because then you know how you're feeling and,
Yeah.
and what to say. And if you know you're angry, what are some things you can do when you're angry?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. And is there anything that for like sometimes I feel like once more time happens, you feel like you develop a better understanding for things. Is there anything now that you feel like if you know someone that's going through the same thing, what are some tips or advice that you could offer to that person?
Um, I would definitely tell them that basically accepting how they feel,
Mm-hmm.
and it's okay, because your time will come. And I wish, before me finding it out my own self, I wish somebody had told me that. Like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, your time will come. You are young. You
Mm-hmm.
have plenty of years. Like, accomplish what you need to accomplish. Do what you got to do.
Mm-hmm.
Don't rush it as well,
Right.
even after. But I feel like just telling me that it's going to be okay and
Mm-hmm.
your time will come.
Yeah. Now, something else I wanted to talk to you about. When I was going through grief counseling myself for the loss of my husband. I talked to the grief counselor about the miscarriage I had had a few years before that, and she said something to me that I thought was pretty profound. She asked me, had I ever um, gone through the motions of any type of ceremony for the pregnancy, and I was like, well, what do you mean? And she was like, well, did you ever say your goodbyes? Like, did you do anything for closure with this pregnancy? And I was like, well, no, I never did. So she explained to me that at the grief counseling place I went to, every year they had what they did, like a balloon release,
Mm-hmm.
and they would people who had miscarried that year would come there, and there was a person, they would do like a nice little ceremony, like they'd say like prayers and play some music, and there would be someone that would say the names of every child that was lost. And it startled me because I was thinking, like, say the names of a child. Like, I never even thought past even thinking about a name, because if you miscarry early on, you don't know what you were having. And
Yeah.
so it's like, and she was telling me, she was like, it's healthy for you to identify on a deeper level with that loss. So I went as far as even saying what sex I thought the baby was, and even giving the baby a name. And and even if you don't want to do a name, she was saying just even being able to say he or she, it was helpful.
Yeah.
And so they did this balloon release, and they said the names of everybody's child they lost a child in miscarriage. And I thought it was so strong, because that was the first time I'd ever even put that much, like, I don't know, like, just, it was the first time it was such a reality for me. So
That's
did you ever do anything like a name, or thinking about what the sex would have been, or anything to like say goodbye or do something in memory of the child?
Say goodbye. Um, I went to a beach and I sat there, and I just looked up in the sky, sat in the sand, and I said my goodbyes.
Okay.
I did do that. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
it was at night. When I
Mm-hmm.
was away, I got away from the hotel
Mm-hmm.
and I went with my friends. And I went down to the beach and just sat there and did that.
Yeah. Okay, so somebody put in the comments that the time will come, keep the faith. Their daughter had 3 miscarriages. Now she's 35 and she's being blessed with the baby. And I think the thing, like, people always like, have you ever heard of people say like the rainbow baby?
Mhm.
Yeah. So I always think I love that baby shower theme. So anytime somebody comes to me after a miscarriage and they have another baby, I love the rainbow thing, because it's like, that's like the symbolization that you lost a child, and then this pregnancy is the rainbow after the storm. So
Yeah.
I love that. So anytime I think of like if I like when I think of people who lost a baby, I think of just a rainbow situation for them. I pray for rainbows in their future. So
Mhm.
I definitely agree with what they're saying. And I know that you say you do want to have kids again in the future. And what my doctor was telling me, she was like, "There's no reason to think that you can't have another baby if you got pregnant the first time." So I
Yeah.
don't know if you heard the same thing.
I have, but in my head it's like I've lost one and I don't want to go through it again. Like
Yeah.
it's just something that is just you don't even want to. I've even gone as far as like I'll adopt
Hmm.
and everything. Like
Hmm.
it was, yeah, that's just something you don't want to go through. But I've heard it several times.
Yeah, for sure. But I definitely think that I'm happy that you're in a positive space about it. But I also am happy that you are acknowledging that you are grieving, that you have lost, there's a significant losses you've suffered. So is there anything that you feel like through counseling that this loss has helped you shed light on other situations?
Um, yes, in other situations, as far as dealing with, my ex and all,
Hmm.
like definitely with that. Um, just going to counseling and just helping me process everything all in one and
Right.
in a safe space. That's definitely what somebody needs to
Hmm.
do and just talk about and you know
Yeah. Is there anything that you like? Is there like a certain song that you listen to and you think about it, or a certain movie or anything that just kind of helps put you in like a positive space when you're thinking about that loss?
um Never Give Up by Yolanda Adams. I
Hmm.
constantly play that when I feel down because it's basically saying don't give up, and I haven't given up.
Yeah, that's good. Okay. So do you have any I don't want to keep I feel like I've asked you a lot of questions. I don't want to just keep going over the same thing. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that would be beneficial to someone else that's going through the same thing. But again, like I say, it's one of those things like miscarriages are so common. Like I'm sure if I were to do a poll of every woman in this stream, I would imagine that over half of the women has suffered a miscarriage. Like that's how common they are. So
Mhm.
it's definitely something that bonds so many of us, and we can all relate to it. Even if you personally weren't the person that lost a child through a miscarriage, I'm sure you have a friend or a sister or a cousin that has. It's just one of those things that unfortunately a lot of us are impacted with. And I do find that sometimes in relationships, and I know you were single at the time because you and your the fiance had broken up, but one other thing that I know is hard for sometimes is everyone doesn't recognize it as a loss. And I know you didn't really share it with a lot of people, but I know one of the hard things for some women is they feel such grief for this pregnancy and this child, but to
Mhm.
other people that they don't get, like, why is this person so sad? Like she didn't even have the baby. Like, like she didn't they don't look at it like there was a loss. So
No, a lot of people don't like it. I was home in bed a lot. I hardly ate. Um, that's another thing. Like people are like, why are you taking it so serious? Like I was in bed and went to work, and I was like going to work to deal with it
right.
and to just put it behind me. But when I
Mhm.
came home, I didn't move. I laid down. Like that was my life after work because it was so hard to do stuff, to go places, and to just after a while, it took me a couple months.
Mhm. So how do you feel when you're around other mothers who are pregnant or like baby showers? How does that feel for you?
Um, I'll tell you this. It feels really, it just feels weird to me because it's like, wow, like my child would have been playing with your child and
Hmm.
we're friends, and You know, a lot of my friends have had babies,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just like we would have all been there. So I feel it's definitely weird and stuff. I do make up for it kind of in a way by working with children.
Mm-hmm.
So I call all the children my children, and I try to be there for my friends' children, and just be that person, like if they need somebody to talk to, and I just kind of help others with
Right.
because I've lost mine, and it just is like it's
Mm-hmm.
hard. So I know when my friend got pregnant, I've been in her son's life the whole entire time, and he's 4 now. So thinking about that, and then my child about to be 4, it's it's very hard.
Yeah.
So and then she had another baby, and helping her with the new baby,
Mm-hmm.
it was hard. I can say it's very hard, but I try to not think about it. You know, people think you're just crazy because of it. You know, some are just like, that's not, you know, that's not right to think that. And I'm just like, sometimes you kind of have to go through that, because
Mm-hmm.
even though they're your friends, you gotta do what you can and what you have now. So
Right. Guys, if you're just coming in, this is Love Letter to Grief. We have Cece in the box, and we're just discussing her grief journey and her what she's kind of dealt with after miscarrying and losing the baby over 4 years ago. So I like to just kind of always give people certain, like if I can, offer people tips or things that I feel like could make the grief process easier or more doable with like the things I learned in counseling. So I know for me, I think about things that I can do for a person that's going through this type of grief. So, what are some things you wished you had someone that could have done for you in the early process of you losing your child through a miscarriage?
done for me.
Yeah, like what are some things that you feel like could have helped you like process easier? Like for me, I know when I like when I lost, like I say, when I lost my when I miscarried, I didn't do a lot of processing because at the time I didn't understand the significance of what I had lost. I
Mhm.
was married, I wanted to be pregnant. It happened, so I was super sad about it. But I kind of processed it really quickly and kept going. Then we took a vacation, probably like maybe 2 months after that. We went on a cruise, which was very helpful for me because it was relaxing. I was
Mhm.
able to and I just love being near the water, so I was able to kind of process it better and just clear my mind. But at the time, like I say, I shared it with a lot of my friends, so they did reach out. So for me, the thing that was most beneficial was having people that I knew just tell me that they gone through the same thing. Just
Mhm.
hearing the fact that I wasn't by myself and there were tons of people walking around feeling the exact same way. That was very helpful for me. I had friends who brought me flowers, would bring me dinner because I was kind of in bed for a couple of days after. I had someone that came and took Taylor for the weekend to kind of give me some time to kind of process. So like little things like that. Did you have? And I know you say you stayed in Texas by yourself. So what are some of the things you think would have been helpful had someone done?
Just come over
Mm-hmm.
and talk to me, watch movies, like get me out of bed, because
Right.
that's what I was all the
Mm-hmm.
time, just sleeping and just sleeping away the day, just
Right.
doing something, getting me out of bed to do something. Like
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that would have been something very important, like just doing that, and having people like call me and check up on me every day, because I am alone, and it is hard.
Yeah. So I know people always say, they want to make sure they're saying the right thing to somebody when they're going through a loss. So they want to make sure they're doing the right thing. So I ask that question just in case if there's someone watching the stream who has a friend or a family member that's just lost a baby through a miscarriage. They may say, okay, well, I remember hearing Cece say she wished, I had somebody who just came and checked on them, sent them a text message, gone by. So maybe that's something they can do to help that person. But I just have to also remind all of us that we have to give people the tools to help us. So when we're going through grief and we've suffered different things in life, if you're keeping it to yourself, it's going to be very hard for people to be there because they don't know that there's anything wrong. So we definitely have to be a little bit more open and transparent and vulnerable to allow people to know our hurts so they can come in and help us. So I appreciate that. So is there anything else that you want to kind of share with us about this loss before we finish up?
Really not much more. It's just, it is very hard to deal with. And once you talk about it and you you know find that right person to talk about it, it does get better. It really does.
And how long have you been going to see your therapist about it?
For a year and a half now.
Okay, that's very good. Yeah. So you guys know I talk about talking to somebody all the time, whether it's a grief counselor, a psychologist, a psychiatrist, a grief therapist, a counselor, a regular therapist. There's tons of titles, but whoever you decide to connect with. And I also tell people, if the first person you go to see, if it's not a good mesh for you, because that's a thing sometimes too, people are like, well, I tried counseling and it didn't work for me. The person I saw was not good and I just stopped. You also have to give it a chance. Like if the first person is not a good fit, try another person. Because you want to have someone that you're talking to that you feel like you can trust and that it's a safe space for you. So
definitely find somebody that you like, because it is for you originally. Like, you are the one spilling your whole life to somebody. You want to make sure that you're talking to somebody that's for you.
Yeah. Well, you guys make sure to hit CC with the favorite. And can you maybe tell them when they can catch you online, so if they want to come by and love on you or just check out your stream? When will you be going live? What's your normal schedule?
I definitely go live on the weekends constantly. I do activities and everything. Every Sunday before your show, 9 o'clock Central Standard Time, I do church in my stream, for an hour, and we just worship, we pray, and we do a little sermon, everything. So it's a time to come together and just start our whole week on a whole positive note. um that's mainly it. I say on the weekend you can find me definitely here. During the week it's random times. So.
Okay. Well, you guys make sure to hit CC with the favorite and check out her stream. Sassy asked a question. How far along were you? She was you see you're like a month out when you first found out. Okay. So do we have any other questions from anyone in the comments for CC before she? And thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you guys for the gifts, and make sure you guys save CC. Again, this is Love Letter to Grief. We have this show every Sunday at 11 a.m. EST. I have a guest that comes on, shares their love letter to grief to someone they've lost, and we just kind of listen to their story. Because I am a strong believer that the more we talk about our grief, the more we can heal. So I appreciate her for being honest and transparent and letting us learn a little bit more about you. So do we have any other questions for her? Exactly, Sass. I said the same thing. Like, it's one of those things is people feel like it's not a loss because if it's super early on. But if it's a wanted pregnancy, you don't feel like you lost a pregnancy, you lost the baby. And so we have to definitely put more emphasis on that and shedding more light to people who have lost that. They have lost that, because it's a really big deal.
It is. Yeah.
I don't know if we had any other questions for you before you hopped out, but I'm sure she'll be in the comments. So if somebody has another question, if you want to pop back in, you can. Thank you, Cece.
Thank you.
Cece was very nervous about her letter, but you did a good job. Okay, so like I was saying, a lot of times we do meet people or we hear about things from people, and we often wonder, what can we do to help a person? She gave great examples of things that could have helped her. Just a phone call, a text message, somebody coming by, hanging out with her would have been very helpful. I always tell people, if you know someone that's going through a loss if you have someone that's grieving and they've lost someone, the easiest thing to do for that person is something that comes natural. For instance, if you're a great cook, take the person something to eat. If you are at home and you're going to cut your grass and you have a friend that just lost someone, go cut their grass. Like the same things that you have to do, they need. If you go to the store and you're getting toiletries for the house, grab some extra toiletries and drop it off at their doorsteps and text them and say, hey, I did a store run. I was thinking about you. I left some stuff at your front door. Just little things like that. Just let people know that you're thinking about them. If you say a prayer for a person, text them and say, hey, you're on my heart. I was thinking about you. I'm praying for you. I know you're having a tough time. Just little things like that, because it lets a person know that they're not alone and that the loss that they've suffered is being recognized. And so little things like that, like if you have a person that has children and you have a child and you're going to take your child to the park, send them a message, call them, say, hey, I want to know if you want to get a little time to yourself. Can I take your, we're going to go to the park. Do you want to join us? Do you want me to take your child with me? Things like that, just little things, because I promise you, for someone who's going through grief, those things stand out, and those are the things people remember. It's so many things that people have done for me during my grief process that stand out, and I appreciate people for it. And it's just one of those acts of kindness that can never be forgotten. So it's very easy to just do the things that are very natural for you. You did your friend's makeup. Oh, exactly. Like that's so beautiful, because when you're going through grief, I know me, I was in bed crying all the time. I was sad. I didn't want to get up. So the fact that you did your friend's makeup, because sometimes, the way you look, it makes you feel better. So I'm sure that was very nice and very helpful for her. Cece has been a great person to talk to, especially when you lost your sister. Oh, wow. Miss Savage, that is this. And sometimes I feel like once we've suffered a loss ourselves, it helps us be better, better friends to people, or better allies to our friends who are going through the same thing. So I'm glad that she was able to be there for you. So guys, if anyone in here wants to be on the show, you want to come on, share your love letter to grief, I would love to have you. You can contact me, or you can contact Skylight, either one of us on IG. Let us know that you want to be on the show. Share with us the person that you've lost. It does not have to always be death. I tell people that all the time. Like we had Jilly Baby, Top Bash Jilly Baby came on. She shared her love letter to lupus. And Miracle Baby is supposed to be coming on soon, and she's going to share her love letter to her health issues that she has. And so it doesn't always have to be a actual loss. I mean, like sometimes we grieve things and you may not even realize that it's grief. Like there's a reality, like a lot of people probably haven't fully processed 2020. We all grieve. Like and that's not even to be funny. We were all grieving during COVID. Like the isolation, the being home alone, the having to learn to process things, and people lost jobs, you lost financials, your finances, life itself just changed. So you just have to kind of be aware of when you are grieving to, recognize it and figure out ways to help you process it even better. So if you're just coming in, we just finished with CC, Love Letters to Grief. Every Sunday, 11 a.m. EST, we have this show. So if you want to come on, message me and let me know. If anybody has any questions, always feel free to ask your questions during the show. If you think of something, you can always message me on IG and I'll still answer your questions. But I want to thank CC for being our guest today. She did a beautiful job. And yeah, I think that's about it, unless somebody has a question or a comment. Yes, so our Stream Daddy. Can I be Stream Daddy? So we do have, every show, you guys know we have a lot of shows. We have 3 of them. Thursdays, 2 p.m. EST is my feature show, Save the Date with Travel Babe. Sundays, 11 a.m., we have Love Letter to Grief. And tonight, also Sunday, 7 p.m. EST, we have Time to Sing. And every show, we do what's called a Stream Daddy. And the Stream Daddy is the #1 gifter of the stream. So what time is the show over? In 13 minutes. Yes, so the show is officially over at noon. So we have 12 more minutes and the show will be over. So Weddy is probably waiting it out so she can be the stream daddy, and I will let you guys know who that is. But Emoji Day, you can stop recording if you want to, because unless someone else has another question about grief, then we'll keep going. But let me just tell you guys a couple of things also that have been very helpful for me. Dealing with grief, you guys know I talk about it all the time. I'm very transparent about my grief. It is something I feel like is a part of my journey. I feel like I'm supposed to share my grief journey with people. I'm supposed to talk about grief with people because I want us to change the way we view grief. I want us to learn how to be better friends to each other when we're going through things. So I'm always open to talk about what I've gone through and things that have helped me. And I will say the things that have helped me the most, definitely hands down, was my faith. My faith was definitely strengthened with every loss I've ever gone through. But the loss of my husband for sure was the one that strengthened me the most. I feel like I got a closer relationship with God. I got a better understanding for just for life, like for my purpose. I feel like I got a better understanding for what work I was supposed to do in life. So I feel like you have, for me personally, I wanted to make sure that none of these losses happened in vain. So although I've been here for this, y'all are funny. So I just wanted to make sure that the losses that I've suffered weren't in vain, and I'm doing something to keep the people who I love memories alive. So for me, when I wrote this book, it was not just about my journey. It was about just to share the story of what I've been through, keep my husband's memory alive in a sense. And I wanted to have something to look back on. So I always encourage people to write things down, because when you're going through grief, it may seem like you're not progressing. Like you may be like, dang, like, I'm a couple months in, I don't feel like I've gotten any better. But if you write something down, then you have something to reference. So I read these letters in this book sometimes, and I'm like, man, I've come so far from this letter that I wrote in September of 2017. So I love to tell people, if you journal things, it's easier to see your growth and your progress. So that's why I always encourage people to write a letter and keep them. And if you, like I said, again, if you want to be on the show, make sure you send me a message on IG or Skylight. Yeah, the journal helps. Yeah. And I have a lot of people who say that they, once they write things down, it's very helpful for them. So I think we're going to close the show out a few minutes early today, because I'm gonna start doing it. Wait, he said, wait. No. Yeah. Yeah, so 10 minutes. Okay. Okay, so let me tell you guys about something. Okay, so I talk about something else that really helps me process my grief is crying. So they always give me a hard time because I tell them I cry every day. They think I'm crazy. I think I'm not. So I cried earlier today. I was watching a Instagram reel. Here we go. Yes. I'm not gonna cry. I was watching the Instagram reel. And it is some of the sweetest Instagram reels that you can ever find. What time I'm ending? Very, very soon, like in like a minute. Well, I only said that because the little girl. Oh my God. Listen, that little girl made me cry. I follow her on Instagram and I click her videos all the time and cry. Watching them. But crying helps me, it just cleanses my soul. I feel like it takes all of my, like, sometimes I feel like grief, it kind of like, it just, sometimes like it gives you these like little, I don't know how to explain it, like little flutters. Like you have these little flutters in you, and crying just helps flush them out. It just pushes them out. They're out of your body, and now you're good. Everybody calls you a crybaby because you cry a lot. Listen, I don't care about being called a crybaby. Oh, look at the pony. That's so cute. I'm not gonna cry. Crying is not horrible. Crying is very healthy. Crying is very healthy for you guys. You should, if you haven't cried and you feel like you're kind of out of sorts, you should cry. Like I'm telling you, it will help you. He said it's negative. It's not negative. Crying is very healthy. Okay, so my stream daddy is Top Batch Weddy. Everybody make sure to fave Top Batch Weddy. She's the stream daddy. I will post her on IG. Also, I need to do some social media postings for you because you haven't really been posting. anything on social media that I should be sharing? So like if you want to stream or you have like streaming goals or something, you need to let me know so I can do that. And also, were you the stream daddy last week for Love Letters to Grief? I mean, not Love Letters to Grief, for Save the Dates. All 3 shows last week? Wow. Okay. So I need to host your stream then. Hi, lady. Just said, yes, I'm rich. Okay. I need to host your show. I need to host your stream for 30 minutes. So let me know what day you want me to host your stream for 30 minutes. Okay. So you guys, thank you guys so much for being here. I do have a show that I'm on today at 4:00. I'll post it on my IG. And of course, we'll be back today. No, Dawn hasn't been back streaming yet. So she told me she wanted me to wait. So I'll be back today, 7 p.m. EST for Time to Sing. You guys make sure y'all there. It's a hilarious show. It's so much fun. Thank you guys for being here today. Thank you to our guest today, Cece. You did a beautiful job sharing your letter. Thank you to the Stream Daddy, Top Badge Weddy. Love you guys, and I will see you guys later. Okay? Come to my stream. I'm gonna go back to sleep, but I love y'all. Wendy said she's gonna go live. Love y'all. I love y'all. I'll be back a little bit later. Okay, bye. Thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you, Emoji Day. Thank you, CC, and thank you for all the gifts, all the love, and all the favorites. I appreciate you guys. Bye.